10 years ago, this phone randomly shut off, and my customer put it in a sock drawer hoping that someone could recover his childhood pictures. Multiple people have tried recovering this phone, so let's see what we can do. When we plug the motherboard into a power supply, the phone jumps to 100 milliamps, then drops to 0. Let's see if we can figure this out. First, let's start testing the battery connector for any weird readings, and nope, everything looks okay. Then let's test the power lines around the chip that controls the battery, and after checking out the schematics, we're going to try replacing this chip first. Let's remove a donor chip from another motherboard, and if we do it perfectly, all the solder balls will be the same size. Now let's solder the chip onto the board and test, and nope, the phone still shows the same symptoms. Okay, let's try replacing the next chip in the power sequence. Let's remove the donor chip, then let's remove my customer's chip, and when I was flaunting my skill with my tweezer, I ended up mashing the solder and making a mess. Beautiful. So let's clean the solder on the motherboard, then let's clean the solder on the chip, then let's rub some solder paste into the stencil, and finally let's create some beautiful sexy balls. Let's solder the chip to the board and test, and nope, the phone still shows the same symptoms. This is going to be very time consuming to figure out, but we actually have a quicker way to recover his pictures. The data on this phone is not encrypted, and my customer only needs us to recover his pictures and videos. So let's just pull the chip off that holds his data, and let's read it externally. This reader allows us to solder the power and data lines manually, and then we can read the data on our computer. So let's solder the VCC line, which provides main power to the chip, then the VCCQ line, which provides secondary power to the chip. Then we solder the two lines that allow the chip to receive data, and then the two lines that allow the chip to send data. Lastly, we need to solder ground to complete the circuit. Now let's say our prayers and hope that the original issue wasn't this chip, and when we read the data, we can see all of the partitions. And when we go to the user data partition, we can see that the data is not encrypted. Let's read the chip and his pictures are saved. If you need something recovered, the link's in the bio. Peace.